Okay. I'm bringing her on now. There she, Alyssa, what's up?
Hey man, what's going on?
Nothing. Hey, by the way, I wore my band shirt because it's Band T Tuesday, right?
You are the best. I got my Judah and the Lion shirt on.
Let me see. Let me see. There you go.
Judah.
Those guys are awesome.
Yes.
Judah and the Lion, they are the best. Yeah, I had to rock my silver. So it's blue band T-shirt. That might be a theme. You might have to go even further with the theme. Blue band T-shirt
We did
today.
not plan this. We did not.
No, no. I saw that. I saw that you guys do that on the end, and I thought that was pretty cool. So thank you for doing this tonight, Alyssa. I appreciate you
Yeah.
taking some time for this. Every Tuesday, I was just telling everyone that just joined. Every Tuesday, I want to talk to different radio people, find out their stories and everything. Just because when you do radio, we love talking about the radio. So whatever.
Right. Seriously.
So
Thank you
we're
for
gonna
having me. Appreciate it.
absolutely. So we're gonna have a good time with this tonight, and we're gonna go from you. You grew up in New England, right?
Yes, I'm from Connecticut.
Okay, so we're going to go from Connecticut all the way to the other side of the country. We're going to go all the way over to Seattle. So you're going to have to fill in the blanks here, Alyssa. So, all right, born in Connecticut. Where at in Connecticut, by the way?
I'm from Norwalk, so it's southern Connecticut, an hour outside of New York City.
Okay, the most fun I've had in Connecticut was in Fairfield at Fairfield University. Great place, good party
Yeah.
there.
Enough
Okay, so
said.
you were born there and you went to college in Connecticut, or did you go away, or what's the story?
So I actually did not go to school for radio. I was taking courses at the community college. Didn't really
Yeah,
didn't
community college.
Dude, I was a lost soul. I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I had a good work ethic. I was taking like prereq classes to become an RN. Like I just had no idea. And then my buddy who worked at the local radio cluster, the stations that I grew up listening to, 95.9 The Fox, which is a classic rock station, he was like, dude, they're in need of good street teamers and promo people, and you're an outgoing person and friendly, like you should apply. So I did. So I'm 20 years old, and I get the job for street team, and I was like, well, this is cool because these are the jocks that I listen to, that I listened to on the way to high school and stuff. So like, this is cool. Um, so yeah, I basically was a part-time street teamer, but I did that for like over the course of 3 years. I did that, but in those 3 years, I also wanted to learn more. I was like, I want to know how to run a board, so I became a board
Hmm.
operator. I went from like babysitting the station at night, messing around with Adobe, trying to like teach myself how to use all the tools that were there, especially while no one was there.
Yes.
And yeah, just like no one could bother you. You're just like there taking tower readings once an hour or whatever. And yeah, I sort of did that. And then I became a producer we had an AM station and we had live brokered shows on Saturday mornings. So I'd be
Hmm.
there like 5:30 a.m. till noon every Saturday. My friends were like, you never go out anymore. You don't have a life. And I'm like, well, I'm learning how to do shit. Maybe I can really do this. Um, and it was fun. It was more hands-on. You're a real producer. You're getting the guests on. You're plugging in the music. A lot of crazy time. So yeah, that was fun. And so I wanted to do more of that and kind of winged off the street team after a little bit and was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a demo. I don't know if I can even do this. I don't know if I'm interesting enough. If people want to listen to me, like, what do I have to say that people want to hear? Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I made a couple demos. I was turned down. You know, I had no experience whatsoever. Uh, but then Keith, who used to program WFNX in Boston, alternative station,
Hmm.
came in and he was the new PD and was like, why are there no women on these radio stations? And so he worked with me and I made, we had a couple air check sessions. I made some more demos for him, and he gave me a chance. He put me on Sunday mornings on the classic rock station. So yeah, my first show, it was like old analog board, old school studio setup. I loved it. I talked up a Bruce Springsteen song for my first song, had no idea what I said. I thought I was going to throw up on the microphone after I turned it off. I was like, oh God, I have to do this for 5 more hours? Jesus. it was it was terrifying, but in the best way. and so I was in like the Stamford Norwalk market, and then I moved up to the Bridgeport market. It's like small market, 124, great market though. And yeah, I was like, wow, like I guess I'm really doing this. And so that's kind of how I got into it, from my friend saying, hey, do you want to apply for street team?
Did you still live in Norwalk when you were up in Bridgeport? It was Bridgeport, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Were you still living in Norwalk and driving up there, or did you move up there after?
I lived there for a little bit, and then I moved to do you know where Sacred Heart University is? You said Fairfield U, so I didn't know. But right in the middle between Bridgeport and Fairfield is where I moved to.
Mm-hmm.
10-15 minute ride to work. So our station, I worked for Cox Media. Then they sold us to Connoisseur Media, which is just a smaller company. And then we kind of merged to Milford, closer to New Haven. And so I worked there for a couple of years, and I kind of worked on all the stations. I did the classic rock. I did PLR, which is the rock station. It's been there for like 50 years now, I think. Great people. I started doing nights on Hot AC, which wasn't really my choice because I was like, I'm a rock girl. I was striving to alternative, but there really wasn't. I mean, there's MRQ in Hartford, but no one was getting back to me. It was hard to get in. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to master my craft here. And I did nights for a little over a year on the Hot AC station. And I actually like brought up ratings, and I was surprised. I'm like, I guess I could, moms like me,
I don't suck.
Yeah. Yay. So, yeah, but after doing that for a while, they cut my nights, not from anything I did, just shit happens. They wanted to
Yeah.
bring in this new radio show, this woman who'd been on Dr. Oz. I forget her name. But they wanted to bring her show on and kind of syndicate that. So I was cut down from like, working full-time hours, part-time really, to 2 hours a night, 7 to 9 p.m. And they were kind of like, hey, if you just want to come in Monday, do those 2 hours live and then track the rest of the week. And I was like, all right, well, I've kind of climbed every ladder I'm going to climb here. There's really no room for growth. They had full-timers who had been there for years. And I was like, what's my next move? So I kind of literally applied everywhere. Drove to Poughkeepsie and dropped off stuff because I was really into their alternative station. I drove to Boston. I have family over there, so I like crashed.
What was the station in Poughkeepsie?
WRRV.
Okay.
Poughkeepsie.
Is that the river? That sounds.
It's not the river. I think it's just WRRV.
Okay.
It's in the cluster with WPDH, which is a staple rock station. But anyway, I really liked what the program director was doing, and I was like, I can do that. This is the music I want to talk up. Didn't hear anything back, but I wasn't expecting to. I was just showing up there on my day off, like, hey, you want to listen to my
I got a demo. Here you go.
Yeah. Same thing with Boston. What used to be Alt 92.9, it was the alternative, and it recently flipped, but I dropped stuff off there too, just because I was like, hey, I have family that lives right outside Boston. If I get this job or something, nothing.
And why not? And why not take a chance either? Go for it. Why not?
I mean, I had nothing to lose. I still had a job. I was just looking to progress in this industry. I wanted full time, of course. And like I said, I kind of did everything that I was going to do at that cluster in Connecticut. So it was just kind of time for me to move on. And yeah, nothing really panned out. It was like a solid year that I was just kind of reaching out, trying to network. I was listening to Wendy. I was listening to Allie. I was listening to you, Lindsay Marie at Rock 105. I was listening to Michelle at WLUM, just to emulate, if you will, sort of take tips and like how are these guys doing this every day? How are they being creative for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week? Like, could I actually do this? And I actually reached out to Michelle and just kind of was like, look, I listen to you every day. I know you're probably super busy, but I have a demo I'd love to get your ears on. And she got back to me within like 24 hours and gave me one of like the best air checks ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was honestly like I met her a year or so ago. She came by the station just to hang out or whatever, and
Hmm.
I was just like, "Oh my God, you are the best!" Like, I still tell people, I don't mean to be a weirdo, but like, I still tell people how awesome you were to me because you didn't know me at all. Um, but yeah, she was great, and I just kind of like was networking, and then I have a friend, Jolana, who worked at the time. She was the PD of a Westchester station in for Cumulus. She reached out to Mike McVeigh for me and was like, "Hey, I know this girl. She's like, you know, great work ethic, diamond in the rough type of thing." And I was just like, "Well, okay, but thank you." And
Hey,
I
slow
was
down,
like,
slow down.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, and so she sent Mike McVeigh my demo and so my resume and stuff like that. And then I remember I'm driving home from the station. It's like 12:30 because would do nights on weekends and stuff. And it's like midnight or after midnight, and I get an email from Mike McVeigh that was just like, "Oh, this all sounds great. I'll put you in touch with Troy Hansen. He CC'd here." And I was just like, "Is this for fucking real?" Like,
Yeah.
okay. And then every Sunday, I bugged the shit out of Troy, and I sent him a new 2-minute demo every Sunday. And was just like, "Hey, here's a 2-minute breaks from my show earlier today." And after a few weeks of doing that, he was like, "Hey, let's jump on the phone." And
And Troy's
that
a busy guy. Like, he's a big name, busy guy.
Yeah, he's so I was just like I said, I never had expectations when I was either applying or just dropping stuff off out of the random because PDs are busy. They are
Yeah.
talking to record reps, they have meetings, they have logs to do. Like, they don't have time for randos. So yeah, I just told myself, don't expect anything. Um, you know, you won't get hurt that way.
Yeah.
um
Well,
so
before you continue there, Lisa, hold on. There's like you said a lot there in the past couple minutes there. Number one, you said that uh, about your demo, about reaching out and sending that out. Every time someone reaches out to me, someone that wants to learn or get my advice or anything about radio, I'm more than happy, and I'm sure you do the same thing now. It's like absolutely because people took a chance and took 10 minutes out of their day to listen to my stuff, give me a couple lines of critique and say, I like this, do this, do this. That's really important to anyone. It means the world to someone that's just starting up. And, never forget that.
Absolutely. No, and I also think it's important, yes, PDs are busy, and I get their workday is crazy, but it also is important for them to look out what is up and coming, and what are,
Mm-hmm.
people that want to get their teeth into this industry. I think that's important as well.
And it's so easy too. I could take your demo, drop it onto my phone, listen to it on the way home. I could just put it in my car and listen to it. And I could have 10 of these and maybe find the next superstar. Or maybe it's not a superstar that's ready for, the end or DC 101 or Radio 104.5 or the Buzz in Houston, whatever it might be. But they might be a superstar that I can put in touch with someone and say, hey, this person is up and coming. They might want to, you might want to check them out for your station for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, people are only going to get better the more mic experience they get. So I'm with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, Troy didn't even have a job for me. He just wanted to see where my head was at and who's Alyssa Boccuzzi, So we chatted.
Mm-hmm.
I was at my waitressing gig, okay? And I get a call from him, and I tell the girl, like, "Hey, you got to cover my tables." I'm like outside with my little notepad. I'm like writing everything down. You can hear cars like whizzing by. I'm just like, yeah. And he's giving me notes, and he's telling me a couple jocks to listen to, and yeah, we had a really great like 20-minute conversation. And he was like, "Look, I have a guy who may be going to Memphis, and if he does, I will have a weekend slot open for you." And I was like, "Okay." 3 weeks later, he emailed me and was like, "Well, hey, that weekend spot's open if you want to come down to Atlanta." And I was like, "All right, I guess I'm moving to Atlanta."
Well, Atlanta's no small potatoes. It's market number, what is it, 7 or 8? I mean, that's big
8, yeah.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
like if you're willing to take and make the sacrifice to go there to find another job to support your radio job, and I'm sure you did. What did you do when you moved to Atlanta, by the way?
so I moved down there,
Like
and
side job before radio instead of radio.
well, see, I kind of lucked out, and I hope people don't hate me for this because I just sort of slid into it. I went to a bunch of criminal records. I went to vinyl stores, record stores, trying to get a gig.
Mm-hmm.
I even applied to a couple waitressing gigs. And then they had an opening for production coordinator. One guy was leaving.
That's awesome.
They knew that I knew how to use Adobe and be creative and all that stuff. And so I trained, and they didn't necessarily give me the job right away. They wanted to make sure I was the person for the job. Understandable, They had 6 stations in that cluster. And yeah, so I just kind of trained, and then after 2 to 3 months of actually doing the job, and they just had me, coming in, they were like, okay, you're officially hired. And so I did my production coordinator job during the week, and then on the weekends I was on air for Rock 105.
That's all. And what were you doing commercials? Were you doing imaging? Were you doing a bit of both?
No imaging stuff, but commercials, working with clients, having them come in to record their spots. Sort of, they had a production director, and then Swan, Chris Swan?
I don't know Chris.
Well, I know he worked with a project in Atlanta, but he was production assistant, and then I kind of helped him out.
Okay.
Lighten up his workload a little bit. So, but I mean, it was great. I was logging in hours, and I was able to get my feet in the door every day and just be around the atmosphere. Which was really awesome.
It's important. I mean, if you could get a job like that, number one, you get on the job training of how to do commercials, which is so important. Like, it's a great thing to have under your belt, because there's a lot of people that don't have the knowledge of doing anything more than doing their endorsement, dry read, it's done. If you can produce commercials, that's a big step ahead for you. Plus, hey, what if someone's out sick? Alyssa, can you do nights tonight? Would you mind doing that for us? You're there in the building. You have those opportunities. You're ready to go. Plus, you're working on the weekends too. And were you working 7 days a week at that point?
6. So they gave me Tuesdays off because
Okay.
Mondays were pretty busy for production. So they were like, "Hey, do you want to have Tuesdays?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine. Not a big deal." And that did happen. That did happen often. I would fill in either for the night jock, or if the afternoon jock was on vacation, they'd be like, "Hey, can you do middays today?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those things, like taking those opportunities, seizing them, being at the radio station. That's another thing I tell everyone. Just, you know what? If you want to get opportunities, be here. Make the time, be here. I know, and like you were saying earlier, how you were doing the brokered shows in Connecticut. Yeah, it's not glamorous or anything, producing a paid show in the morning on a Saturday or a Sunday, but it's being at the station. It's getting that time and getting those reps behind the board, and doing things and learning that way. And you taking it a step further now as a production coordinator and on air at Rock 105 in Atlanta. That's pretty big. Rock 105.
Yeah, no, it was honestly, it was a great time. The city was awesome.
Atlanta's great. I love Atlanta.
It's such a party city, but not in a frat boy kind of way. I don't know. I can't really describe it. I mean, now I wouldn't want to be there with everyone walking around the park with no masks on.
No, that's.
But
I think Georgia may have jumped the gun on a few things there.
But no, it's a beautiful state. I used to go to North Georgia on the weekends when I wasn't on the air, and we'd go hiking and stuff. I still keep in touch with my friends there, but I was there literally 2 years, and the end position opened up. And it's so crazy because when I was in Connecticut, driving to my waitressing gig, I would be streaming the end, or what was it, Alt 98.7, or whatever station I was listening to during that time. I had my rotators, and I would listen to the end all the time, and I just loved the crossover talk between Pepper and Greg and Gregor, and it just felt like it'd be a real fun place to be. They actually enjoyed working with each other. Even if they didn't, and I'm sure they did, but even if they didn't, you didn't hear that over the airwaves. You know what I mean? It was very inviting. It was very welcoming, and it was weird. And the station had its weirdness to it, and I think that's what drew me to keep coming back and keep tuning in. I'm like, there's something about this station that I really like. And yeah, whenever I saw that position open up, I was like, oh my God. And of course I'm like I would ever get a job, come on, you know what I mean? I was not full-time in radio.
it's funny because no matter how long, and you've been in how long were you in for at that point? Like 4 or 5 years?
Let's see.
Two
Oh, you mean
years in
on the,
Atlanta. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm
on
saying
the
2 years
air?
in
Yeah,
Atlanta, then a couple more years in Connecticut.
sure. Yep.
So that's like 5 years so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and two of those being major market. I mean, that's a pretty good experience too. You can never sell yourself short. You never know when there's something you might as well try. Go for it.
No, it was one of those things where at first I was like, oh, I'm not going to apply. And my friend who also worked in radio in Atlanta, he was in the Cox Media Group. He was like, dude, if you don't apply, I'm going to like bitch slap you. Like, you need to do this. Who cares if you're not going to get it? Like, you need. And I was like, all right, you just got to go for it. Um, and yeah, I'll never forget how that interview process started. Like, I don't think I slept for months. Um, seriously, anxiety was, at an all-time high, but it was amazing. The whole process of coming out here for the interview, seeing the city. I've never been to Seattle before. I have family in California, so it's as far like out this way out west. And yeah, it was nuts. And I was like, holy crap, I'm meeting Gregor and Manley and these guys who I listened to and who I streamed, in Connecticut and Atlanta. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was very surreal. So yeah, just kind of.
How did you find the job? Did you see it on All Access on the station website or what?
Yes, that and Pepper may have posted about it. She and I were friends on Facebook, and she may have posted about it too. But yeah, I definitely remember seeing it on All Access for sure. And then of course my
Mm-hmm.
friends were like, "Oh my God, did you see the end as an opening?" So yeah, it just sort of yeah, and Leslie, my PD, like obviously totally took a chance on me. I mean, I can't tell you how many people who were like to my face, hey, how did you get that job? Like, you weren't in full-time radio before. Like, that's a big market, this and that. And I'm just like, I don't know how to respond to that. Like,
Well, first off, that's pretty rude to say.
thank
I
you.
understand. How about you say that in a bit nicer of a way?
Thank you.
Like, hey, congratulations on getting the job. Like, what happened? Tell the story, not like, how did you get that job?
Honestly, I was like, I'm still wondering the same thing. Like, I feel you. But
I got
yeah,
to meet I got to meet Leslie at the gathering last year for a little bit. Wendy actually introduced me to her, and we had been talking, and she's super chill. So you got a great boss you're working for sure.
Leslie is the shit. Honestly, when I came out here, we did all the interview stuff in the office, and I met everyone. And then she was like, "Hey, do you want to go put your toes in the sand?" And I'm like, "Okay." And she just showed me a couple of the Golden Gardens Park and the beaches over here, and it was just like she really sold the city to me. Not that she needed to do that, but yeah, I don't know. I had a really great day all around, which ended with the Silver Suns Pickups concert at the Showbox.
They took you to a show that night.
Yep, it was amazing.
Dude, when you do, all right, like, for anyone that might not know, like, when you get flown out for a radio interview, that's a very good sign. Like, you do the phone stuff, you might do a video chat, that's fine. When you get flown out and everything, that's like you're really close to doing it. And that you probably had the butterflies all day, but you got to be as cool as a cucumber, like, yeah, I got this, that's no problem. Meanwhile, you're like, we're going to hang with Silver Sun Pickups. All right, what are we getting to eat beforehand? By the way,
Yeah, right. Oh man, I had lunch with Dave Richards, who's my OM,
mm-hmm.
and who ran KSW forever. And I don't even think I think I just like picked apart the salad. I didn't even eat it. I was just so nervous. I'm like, don't say the wrong thing. He likes New Haven pizza. Talk about New Haven pizza.
Like, I gotta, okay, don't blow it, don't blow it, don't blow it.
No, it just everyone. I just sort of like clicked with everyone, and I just left feeling really good. And I didn't. And what you said, like, hey, when you get flown out, it could be like this could really happen, but I didn't want to psych myself out. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna enjoy myself because this could be the last time I'm out here or whatever.
Yeah.
I got to see their old end studio. I mean, Pearl Jam used to go into that studio, and like there was actually in the old building. I mean, I loved it. The studio had such a grungy feel to it. The old board, like you really had to push in that mic button to like it was
Like,
sticky. But yeah, they had a whole room of like old, archives, old reels of the end sessions with Chris
Hmm.
Cornell and like the Foo Fighters from Deck the Hall Ball. It was a really good day. And yeah, and I left there and I felt really good about the whole experience. And I was like, hey, whether or not I get the job, like that was fucking awesome.
Did you
So
fly out? You flew out for one night. Did you just go one day and go right back on a plane? No
yes,
stay over?
I stayed over one night.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So next morning you're on a plane, you're right back. You're like probably still flying high from it. Like, that was awesome. Let's see what happens. How long was it until Leslie called you and said, this is going on?
Honestly, Mike, I don't even remember. It could have been a week. It could have been a week. I think I when I hit ground, I said, "Hey, thanks again so much. It was awesome. This and that."
Hmm.
And then I think within a week, I heard back. And in the meantime, I gave them a bunch of like because so my job is middays, but also like social media head for the station. So I gave them a bunch of ideas I would have to roll out, like a summer camp or some of their concerts via social media, just plans and things like that. So in that time, like before they really made a decision or whatever, I kept sending them stuff. Um, but yeah, I think it was like a week or something like that. And then dude, it all happened so fast. So I went out basically, I think it was like June 4th, I went out, or June 1st. And then by July 4th weekend, I was on a plane, moving out here. So
Wow. That's incredible. And I
yeah,
didn't realize that you were also the social media director of the end. Like, that's a pretty big job. You got a lot of eyeballs on their socials. They've quite a few followers. So, I mean,
yeah.
you got to step up on two different levels. Kind of a new thing too. Like, did you go in there confident? Like, do you feel strong about your social stuff going in there, or was it
Yeah,
like, you know what, I'm going to learn this and just do the best I can?
fake it till you make it.
Pretty much.
um, yeah, so I felt good about it because Rock 105 social was kind of like no one had been on their Twitter for like over a year.
Uh,
I started to revive that a little bit, especially when we were giving out tickets for like Music Midtown and things like that. So I helped revive that, especially on the weekends. Like I posted, random shit or whatever. And that started to grow. I would talk about it on the air, like you could follow us here, like take this conversation over here, whatever. And that started to grow. They were against. I wanted to start an Instagram page for that station, but the marketing head at the time was kind of against it. They're like, "No, our demo isn't there." I was like, "Okay." Now they have one. But yeah, so I'm not saying like, oh, I revamped their whole socials, but I did. I was pretty active on it. I had some ideas, and I wasn't shy about, not every idea is going to be great, but I felt pretty confident, with at least what I had done on their socials,
hmm.
and being a part timer as well. I wasn't on 5 days a week. So yeah, I guess they liked some of my rollout plans and just how I was thinking and forward momentum, and I really understood the end. I mean, I signed up for NMail freaking years ago. I knew everything that was going on. I followed their taco truck challenge event, summer camp. I just made sure like I was in the know at that station. I just loved it.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's a lot different than getting the interview and you have 2 days to listen to the station a lot.
right.
Where you want to just digest everything and you're only listening for a couple days. You're a P1 since you were growing up at home. I mean, that's what it is. And that's like, I use that to my advantage at DC 101 because I grew up around here.
Mhm.
Like, it really helps knowing the station inside out and everything. Like, I listen to Elliot when I was driving a truck, when I was just getting into radio, and now I get to work with him every day. And it's just, stuff like that. It helps you so much in your career and integrating into the station, especially integrating into a new city too, because that has to be
Totally.
just, you got two new jobs and a new city too. It's like, what is going on here? Your mind's probably freaking out and blown at that point.
Well, yeah, it's like, moving to a new city with the whole Seattle thing, like, don't get me wrong, I was very intimidated still, but it helped that I had gotten out of my comfort zone and moved to Atlanta on my own, no family around. Like, that definitely helped because I was like, hey, I know I was just part-time in Atlanta, but I wiggled my way in there and I made really great connections, and I was pretty tight with my OM who'd been there for a while. So I was like, hey, if I can make this happen in Atlanta and I have like zero friends, zero family around, like I can do this. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just honestly, it's just about getting out and exploring your city. Like, and when I first moved here, I lived 17 miles outside of where I worked. So I lived in the burbs, which
That's
I
pretty
liked.
far. Yeah.
The commute was tough for 2 years, but I sucked it up and I did it and I actually liked it because then yes, we broadcast in Seattle, but our listeners are everywhere, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of cool to see, like, okay, like, where do people in Renton go out? Like, where's the downtown in Renton? Like, the shops, where are people going on the weekends? Just to familiarize yourself. And that's really like, you got to put the work in, but that's really what it's about. It's just going out, picking a bar one night and going to get a drink, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Like
and
when you're in a big city, you can't forget it's not just the people in the city. And odds are you're going to have more listeners outside anyway, than you are in the actual city. So you got to learn those places. You got to know, where what's going on in the suburbs. There might be a cool like town center or something. So you got to go check those places out too, for sure. And I know because like Atlanta has so many pockets, and
oh my gosh.
everyone has a different vibe, and it's everyone feels cool, but there's like Five Points, there's up in Cobb, there's all around everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's all the different neighborhoods, what they're known for,
Mm-hmm.
why are people going there? And yeah, and it was crazy because I'm from Connecticut. You could get in and out of that state in less than 3 hours. Where here, it's a 5 hour drive to Spokane, and like
Mm-hmm.
the state is freaking massive. Same with Georgia. It was just compared like where I grew up. So it was like, yeah, learning all the different neighborhoods and communities within the city itself was,
Yeah.
but
Well,
and that's the
Georgia
fun part.
Georgia also takes Atlanta takes 5 hours to get across because of traffic, but that's a different story.
Dude, 285 is the worst.
Oh, every time I was like, dear God, why?
East Atlanta Village was my favorite place to hang.
Yeah.
Midtown was cool and everything, but EAV was just like a cool little grungy, kind of weird little neighborhood area that I really liked.
Yeah, love going down to Atlanta and being around there and seeing Wendy and and hanging with Allie when we would go and do music festivals and everything. I'm surprised we didn't run into each other, quite honestly.
You know what? I was gonna say that because I listened to you, especially when I lived down there. I was like, I like this guy. Like, I want to go and buy this guy a beer. But I didn't want to be that creeper on social media that was like, hey, be my friend. Um,
Why? Who cares? Do it. Who cares?
but yeah, it was it's funny because yeah, I used to bump into like Allie and Knox and stuff at Music Midtown, and yeah,
Hmm.
it's weird that we never crossed paths in real life.
We were every time I went down, I always felt like it was just a whirlwind. Like, have fun. You got to work hard, but have fun and do this, and it was right out. So,
Yeah.
um, so what when you talked to Leslie when you got there, was it something that you really did on the socials that helped sell you like with your air work? Like, was it one thing particularly? Was it the summer camp rollout you were thinking about? Was that really what sold her on you?
I think that I think they did some social digging on me, and I think that they
Hmm.
saw that I was just like, yes, I was green as far as being full time, but I was very invested in the station, and then I knew the station. And I know some people hate when you say brand, but I'm going to say the Ends brand,
That's okay.
and that it was very authentic to Seattle, and like not even just about the music, but about different segments and how we do things. Like, it just every station in general is different, right? And you want to cater to your local market. But yeah, like, just, I mean, and I've heard other people say that there's just something about the end that was just a little different. And I heard that, I knew that. Like I said, you could hear it when listening to Gregor and Pepper and Manly, and just like I said, like the different music as well. Like, we're not playing exactly the same playlist because of research and call outs and stuff like that. And so you want to cater to your specific brand, your people. And yeah, sorry, I talk a lot, just
You
in
should. You're on
circles.
the radio. You should
No,
talk a
but
lot.
but no, wait, but I was trying to think of. I was trying to think. Oh, you asked about the social media. So I think they did some digging in my socials, and every now and then, hell yeah, I would. If I was listening to Greg and he made me laugh, I would tweet at him or something. Same thing with Pepper and Manly, and I think that they kind of saw that. because I mean, it's not like I have a lot of followers on Twitter or anything. I think it was just the genuine of, I really loved this station. And she honestly just took a chance on me. And that's Leslie, you know, she sees something in someone, and that I was driven and willing to work at this. And yeah, sometimes you just have to take a chance on a person.
Absolutely. No, we've you know, some of the best people that are on the air are people that had no intention of being on the air, that were just like, yeah, maybe I'll give this a shot. Next thing you know, they're in New York doing their thing. You know, they're in Los Angeles, whatever it might be. I
Totally.
think I think you said something interesting too there about, you know, interacting with people from the station. Like we do that a lot at DC 101 and Radio 104.5. You know, we're not just tweeting, oh, we have this interview coming up, you know, oh, we have tickets for sale for this. It's like I'll tweet at Elliot in the morning, or I'll tweet at Amber, and, you know, and say, hey, you know, this is a funny thing. You know, we'll just, being a family, people notice that. And you know, doing it genuinely too, not just because this is our job and we're paid to do it. No, like really, we're all friends, and it's important to have that stuff. And for you to integrate yourself so quickly doing that as a listener, now as a part of the team, I mean, that probably helped you leaps and bounds too.
Yeah, and 100%. Like, you know, I get so irritated when I go on a station's Twitter page and all I see is, and I know we all have things to promote, we all do, but and they'll be mixed in. But when you just are scrolling through someone's Twitter page or a station's page, and it's just like, tune in for this. Here's tickets, 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 and that's all there is. There's no personality there. And yeah, that's another thing that drew me, because again, I would go on their Instagram page, and just the most random weird shit. Like, this is so random. Don't ask me why I remember this, but they were at the taco truck challenge event that we do, and I just remember someone had taco juice, whatever the dressing was, like on their stash, and it was like, where does the mustache end and the juice begin, or whatever. And I was just like, I love this shit. It's so random, but I love this. It's so weird. Like, it's not just, hey, come out, we're out here. It's like, hey, I'm eating tacos and I dripped on my mustache. Like, just, and I know that's just so random, but like, those are the little things that I just really loved about them and the socials. Like,
It's stupid stuff that we do that everybody does. And it's, you know, like I put up a picture of Stouffer's lasagna a little while ago, because today's Stouffer's de Mayo now at Casa Jones. So, you know, whatever. We're just having fun.
mm-hmm.
You know, we're just having a good time. And so did you drive out there, or did you fly everything out there when you moved to Seattle?
I flew out there. I had my dog with me. They wanted me to start sooner rather than later. And so I had my dad come with, just because I wanted some help with my dog. I was really nervous putting her onto the plane and stuff, but she was great. And yeah, came out here. My dad was here for 3 days maybe. Found an apartment, locked it in, and then I'm on the board for this radio conference called the Conclave. It's in Minneapolis, and I was flying out. So like I went in on a Friday, got my email set up, whatever. Flew out the next week for this conference, came back, did 2 weekend shifts, and then started on a Monday. So it was very
Wow.
like, yeah.
That's and got an apartment in there and tried to learn a little bit about the city, and try not to freak out, all that. It's like, that's a lot to do.
I slept on my air mattress for weeks, you know, because my stuff was getting sent out here, but I packed, I had my car, you know, shipped out, and I just packed my car with like whatever I could fit into it, including my air mattress. So yeah, I didn't give a shit. I just had like stuff everywhere, and I was like, well, this is my new apartment, and yeah, whenever my stuff gets here, it gets here.
Yeah, when you're starting out like that, it's like, I don't have time to worry about my home life. I got to focus on the radio station and everything. Like, you want to just dive right into it. It's not a normal job where you're at I don't know, you're working for a bank, and, you know, 9 to 5, you're out the door. You know, you got to integrate your whole life and put your life out there for everyone to see in Seattle too. Like, what were some of the first things you did? Like, you go to some different places every night. You go check out some stuff. Do you make friends with people outside of the radio station, or what?
So I think it was summer camp was in August. So I started like mid to late July is when I was on the air. And then summer camp was like 3 weeks later. And I'm like, all right. So I did this thing where I just bought a plain white t-shirt and I was like, how am I going to go up and talk to people? Like, I don't know who the fuck I am. Do they want to know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do they miss the previous, Pepper midday host? Like, so how am I going to do this? So I just bought a bunch of different color Sharpies and went around and was like, hey, I'm the new girl on the end. Like, hey, do you want to sign my shirt or whatever? And people just started drawing like really awesome shit and signing their names and like,
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
welcome. Yeah, it was just like, and summer camp is like the most chill. I love it. It's my favorite event that we do because it's outside at this beautiful park. And they have little like trinket like camp lights hung up everywhere, and it's just good vibes. People bring their family, their blankets, hang out all day. And yeah, it was just really cool kind of walking around this beautiful park, and people were like being very welcoming. I'm like, all right, this is cool.
That's a
So
good way. That's a good way to get your face out there and everything. Look, let me be honest. That's why I wear the stupid suits in 100-degree weather, because it's something people remember, and you're approachable when you have something fun going on. It's not like, I'm forcing anything on you. I just want to say hi. I just want to say hello. Let's get a picture together. That's it.
I wanted to ask you, do you have a suit guy? Because your suits are fucking fantastic, man.
No, you just look up stupid suits online. You can find them everywhere. I'm so mad. All right, now we're gonna side on the suits. I had a great one for the birthday show and for kerfuffle, and neither are going on this year. So, all right. So I'll just save those, and hopefully I fit into them next year. Should be all right.
Good.
Yeah. No, if I see one, I'll just get it. I'll just be like, I need it. I have to have it.
I love it. No, but it's awesome. It's a great tactic, but yeah, it makes you welcoming. It's like you're walking around the venue and stuff, and people feel like, oh, I can go up to this guy. He has a cool suit on. Like,
yeah, or you have magic markers. Hey, sign my shirt here. I just want to say hi and meet everyone. I'm the new girl here at the end.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I did.
Do you feel like the listener, like, was it pretty easy to get people calling and talking on socials and everything? Because, like, when you're doing your first couple shows at a new station, you're like, I'm just trying to focus on not screwing up right now. So let me see how this goes. But did you feel pretty comfortable going right in?
I felt comfortable going in because my coworkers, Greg and Manley, they were so great. Zach, who was there, super supportive, was like, hey, if you ever need help with anything, if you ever want me to jump in a video for social with you, like, let's do this. So they were very, there for me and understood, like, I was intimidated. I was freaked out. I was faking it till I was just doing it. So they made me feel really comfy. And then I was like, fuck it, no time like the present. Let's just do this, That's
great.
So we don't do calls really, but we have the text line. And I did get a lot of cool people texting in and being like, hey, welcome, love how positive you are, blah, blah, blah. Like, just like really nice notes. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, don't think about it. Just do your thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Look, your deal is, I'm a music lover. I'm a girl in a new city. That's what I'm going to talk about. That's relatable to a lot of people in Seattle, especially being such a music city. And, there half the population's women. So I got that half already. So I'm good there. So I got that covered. So after summer camp and everything, did you really feel like, all right, I'm in, this is going to be for the long haul, I'm good to go?
Yes, because I had such a good time that weekend. I just felt like I was really part of the team, and I hadn't even been there a full month. Mm-hmm. So just the listeners, like, going up on stage with the squad to do announcements and stuff, like, don't get me wrong, like, the adrenaline was crazy all weekend, but once I was able to have that beer at the end of day 2 and just be like, yeah, I was part of this, like, this was awesome. I just felt really, like, and don't get me wrong, I still to this day question everything, and do I know what I'm doing? But I just felt like, all right, yes, I'm here and I'm gonna do this. Like,
it's one of the most satisfying feelings after a show, and especially after your first big one, like you had at summer camp. People think we're partying all day. You're running your ass off. You're working. You're sweating. You're doing whatever you have to do. When you can finally have that beer at the end, and you're seeing the headliner, you did the stage, or everything's good. It's the most delicious ice cold beer you could possibly imagine. It really is.
Dude, it was so satisfying because, yeah, like it's August, it's hot. Like you said, I mean, I bring my deodorant, I bring my little bag of necessities, and exactly, you're running around all day, you're doing a shit ton on social media, you're doing interviews
Hmm.
backstage, you're going from the backstage to doing an doing an announcement to making sure you're walking through and people are having a good time, getting some fun captures. And then, yeah, like you said, when the day is over, you're just like, oh, I can relax now for 5 minutes. Like,
Was this when you did the summer camp? Was that the first time you had interviewed bands like that and done stagers too?
yes, I interviewed Dreamers in Atlanta. I interviewed a couple bands because 99X um,
You did it for
went back
Music
up.
Midtown and Shaky Knees.
Yeah, so what happened was I was supposed to go to Shaky Knees all that weekend. I was so bummed because I was hoping to use some of the social stuff that I did to like, you know, pass along. But I got the flu and I was homesick all weekend in the dead of Georgia heat, which was so fun. Um, so I didn't go to Shaky Knees. But no, it was just a couple of concerts that they gave tickets out. It was Dreamers and another band. So anyway, I had little experience, and so I just kind of was like, well, I'll try to pick some interesting stuff. Like, oh, the Dandy Warhols, they were super cool. They were not irritated at me, but it took them a long time traffic from Portland to get to do our show,
Hmm.
and they've been in a car for a very long time. But I was like, well, I found one thing that like I could ask them about. I guess Bowie had picked them to open up for one of his shows, and
Whoa, that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, hey, like I don't believe everything I read off the internet, but like I read this, and they were like, yeah, that was fucking cool. And so we just talked about that, like that one thing. And ever since then, I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find the one, like that one interesting piece of this band's history. Because don't get me wrong, yes, I want to hear about the albums and the new music and this and that, but I'm sure they've talked about that a ton already. So let's find something cool that they could elaborate on and something that their followers may not know or whatever. And so after I did that interview is when I kind of like relaxed a little bit. Sorry, just rambling. But yeah,
No, no, no. No, I think it's fascinating. Like every show that we do, like you know how it is now. You have 3 or 4 interviews during the day. That first one is so nerve-wracking. You just want to get that done. By the time you're at the end, and if you happen to have the headliner that day, you're just like, let's just get this over with. I don't even care what questions I prepared for. We're just gonna sit down. We're gonna talk. We're just gonna bang this out. Let's go. You know,
hopefully the band has a beer or a drink in hand and they can like chill.
seriously, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna have one too at this point.
Yeah.
So you've been there now. It's been 2 years now at the end, or 3 years?
No, actually July will be 4 years. 4 years.
4 years. Oh wow! I didn't
I
realize you were
know.
there for 4 years.
I know,
How
dude.
is it? Or so you got Gregor in the morning now. Walt just came on not too long ago. I haven't met Gregor. He seems super positive. All the videos I see, that guy never stops smiling. Walt, I met him also at the gathering. Awesome dude. Coming from Chicago, he's got so much experience and everything. So I'm sure learning under their trees has just been incredible. And Leslie too, of course.
Oh, totally. Yeah, Greg's my favorite. He's my buddy. Whenever this thing's over, I can't wait to just like see him in person again and have a beer. Like we do crossover talk in the morning as well. And yeah, he's my favorite weirdo. I love him. And Walt's awesome because I got the music director, my contract was up. So yeah, I guess like last July, August, and then Leslie was like, all right, like, I want to bring you into this. And so, Walt is APD in afternoons, and the three of us will have our music meetings now over Zoom. But I'm just learning so much because, like, I know, like, going into this, I knew there was so much politics on, we're not just going to play what we want to play because we're not programming a radio station for us. Otherwise, there'd be a shit ton more Foo Fighters on, right? So,
Yeah, we're not all WEQX. Let's face it.
yeah. Um, and so, yeah, but just, I love observing because the more I sit in with them and hear the lingo and hear like, oh, well, this is what we should do now, as opposed to, oh, maybe we should wait a few weeks on this song, or like, does it fit what we're doing as a whole? And just sitting and observing is just been awesome, because I feel like I have more confidence. Like if I were to go out, with a record rep on my own or something, like I have more confidence in I have a handle on what we're doing as a station as far as programming goes. So that has been really cool the last almost year, I guess.
And even with the way things are now, there's still record business that needs to get done. The Killers album, it's coming whenever they put it out now. It's supposed to be
Whenever,
the end of the month, but and you just said the Foo Fighters, our favorite band, our mutual favorite band, they're going to put out new music. It's coming, and everybody else. So there's a strategy to all that, and of course, for you to get to see all that every day, to talk with Leslie and Walt, and like, okay, what should we do here? This show's coming up. How can we get involved? That stuff all takes a lot of time and effort and energy, but it's so much fun when you get to play those songs in the air, and there's a reason because of it.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, people think, oh, we just play, why don't you play this? Why don't you play this? It's like, well, there's a method to the madness. Trust me. We're not just throwing things at a wall, seeing what's sticking. Like,
Yeah.
there's research, there's tech surveys, like, yeah, we do the work. So it feels awesome to be a part of it. And I'm just learning a lot each week,
Yeah.
So,
And all the people, and we love them, all the people that ask those questions about, why do you play these songs 4 times a day? Well, they're the people listening 8 hours a day. We're playing for people that are in 5 to 7 minute clumps, and that's who we go for. I mean, that's just the way it is.
right. And you don't want those 5 minutes to be, all, I don't want to say Debbie Downer songs, but you know what I mean? You don't want them to be all slow. You're not going to put like, feels like I'm drowning next to Flora Cash's Somebody Else, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, the people don't even, I love those questions, because then I get to respond and be like, oh, well, this is some of the reasons why we do what we do. Because I don't think people understand how much goes into programming one day of music.
It's a lot. How much thought goes into 1 hour, and we need a new song, we need a 90s song, we need a song in the it's so much. It really is. There is a method, my friends. There is a method. So I don't want to keep you all night here, listen, but so it's been 4 years now at the end. You know Overall, your experience, it's just been incredible every day. You guys got new studios not too long ago. Those look awesome. I mean, you just must be having the time of your life there.
Honestly, I can't complain, especially now that, well,
I can't
well, no,
complain.
I can't complain. I really very much enjoy the people I work for, and work with. The fact that I'm able to still do my job from my spare bedroom, like, I still have a job. I'm very grateful and thankful. But I also know that I put in the hard work to be here as well. So yeah, it's a win-win, and just taking it one day at a time,
How has is Gregor still at the station, or is everyone at home right now?
Everyone's at home. My girlfriend actually works in the same cluster, which is where we met. Her show is the only one going in right now because there's 5 of them. So
The men's room?
yeah. So
Yeah.
there really wasn't like much of social distancing, whether they did it at someone's house or whatnot. So they're really the only show going in, but everyone else is home. Yeah.
But it's pretty seamless and smooth. Like for us, Elliot's still there in the building. He's there in the morning. Then I take over. Then Roach does it from his house. Then Klinger. So we've got a good method going on. So it's pretty silky smooth for you guys. No headaches or anything. As much as it can be.
As much as it can be, and like I said,
it's still a headache. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I mean, like, even when I have some tech issues, like, it is what it is, right? Like, I'm going into the spare bedroom with my dogs on my lap and broadcasting. Like I said, I just can't complain.
Yeah, you've got a great thing going, and we'll all get back to regular work soon enough. What do you think? Like, next couple years, where do you see yourself with the end? Like, are you happy as a midday princess? Because that's another thing we have in common.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is where I want to be. So like, this is the station that I never even thought or even like reached out to, because in my head I was like the end is up here and I'm always going to be over here, but I just loved it. So the fact that I'm actually here, and I hate to say like I got my dream job, but Like, it really is, because I always thought it was out of
I have
reach.
mine. We all have. Yeah. If
Virtual
you're
high
lucky
five.
enough to have it, yeah. Self-distance high five.
Yeah.
And is Seattle home for you?
It's a tough question, because yes, I mean, it definitely feels like home because I made it home.
Yeah.
I met an awesome lady, and we have a life here together. And honestly, I love the city. I mean, even outside the city, there's awesome places to hike. Like, there's water, there's hiking. It's basically everything that I could want. Um, and but all my family's back home, so who's to say, if I do one day lose my job here or something, who's to say I won't move back east.
Mm-hmm.
But for
But
now,
it is home though.
it is home. Honestly, if I could work here for 20 more years, I would.
That's and that's great, because you never want to be in a job where with radio people have to move around so much. You never want to be in a job where you're only in a rental. You want to make it home.
Absolutely.
Where can we find you on socials and everything, Alyssa? Tell us all about how we can listen to you on the end. And it's great because you're on West Coast time, so as I'm off, you're on, so everyone can listen to both of us. So
Yes. I'm at Alyssa on the end on Twitter. And yeah, you can find us on the radio.com app, or smart speakers, just say play 1077 the end. You can tune me
great
in.
plug. That's a great plug. I love that.
You like that?
I do. You got to get your plugs in. That's my number one rule. You got to get your plugs in. Alyssa, thank you. This was a lot of fun. See, I told you it'd be easy, by the way.
Oh,
You were fretting about it. We've talked for an hour. It was a lot of fun. So I was pressured next week. I have to bring on my coworker, Roach. So he's going to be my guest next week. We're going to find out Roach's story. Even though I've already found out his story, there was one nugget that he told me the other day. He's like, see, you don't know the story. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're getting the story then.
Awesome.
So we'll do this 7:30 next week, East Coast, and 4:30 Pacific. And Alyssa, thank you so much. This was really a lot of fun, and I'm glad we got to hear about your story.
No, thank you for having me, Mike. You're awesome.
All right, and listen, when things get back to normal, when I get out to Seattle, because I haven't seen the Mariners yet, so I need to get there sometime. I want to schedule it around the Foo Fighters show and rock out with you there. Can we do that?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. That's pinky swear. That's a pinky swear.
Pinky.
Pinky swear. All right. That's a deal. Bye.
Bye, bud.